Hey guys, I'm going to do a review of the Osprey Exos 58 liter, and this review can apply to the 48 liter also. My name is Julian, trail name Sardines. I did a flip-flop hike of the AT last year, and I used the Exos the whole time. If I were to do the hike again, I wouldn't take the Exos. I didn't find it super comfortable. It might have been slightly the wrong size for me, but I'll get into that. So let me just show you the pack first. So I use this whole AT 2,200 miles. As far as durability, it actually held up quite well. It's a lightweight pack, so it has like thinner material than say like the Osprey Atmos. And like one concern going with a lightweight pack is like, oh, maybe it's gonna get holes or not hold up for the whole hike. It held up for the whole hike. It could do more, and it's not the lightest weight pack. I forget the weight. It's between 2 and 3 pounds. There are much lighter weight packs out there, but anyway, the bottom of the pack, no holes honestly. Like I did not baby this. I just did whatever. It's just just some wear there. Couple holes in the outer mesh here that I just taped up. Small holes, and then this wears away, and there's little holes here. This got some wear. In the side thing, there are some holes. Now, you might be noticing this doesn't look like a regular Osprey Exos. I heavily modified this pack, meaning I cut off lots of extraneous stuff, including the hip belt. Semi-regret, but anyway, I'll talk about that. And the brain is off of it, and basically every extra like strap or like thing that I didn't need, I just wasn't using it, and I just didn't see sense in carrying it for the rest of my hike. But there's a lot of like little loops here, compression straps. The compression straps were the first things that I ditched, and any like extra fasteners that I didn't need, extra webbing. Like if the webbing was too long, I cut it off. So I modified this guy. So durability, aside from that, it really held up well. No other issues. Everything worked on it. So it's a really well constructed pack. Osprey does have lifetime warranties on this. There was some wear inside the pack, as you can see here, right where the frame is, just from rubbing. Now you can see there's usually like a kind of a piece of fabric here where you can use it as a pocket. But this wear was present at least somewhat before I removed that. So, eventually with use, the frame would, probably rub through there. So that's the only thing. But yeah, it held up really, really well. So oh yeah, and then there's this brain right here, which I started out using on my hike, but I was just like, I can just fit everything in this, and then this kind of like ended up being like a clumsy heavy thing that would fling over the edge like that, and then it would like pull the pack over. So I just decided to everything I had in there just having Ziplocs in the main compartment, and I was fine without that organizational stuff. Once I kind of developed a system and had a habit going, I knew like where all my stuff was packed in here, and it was just pretty straightforward. So let's see. So I started out using the hip belt, of course. I don't think anyone I knew cut their hip belt off. I was doing it because I was having like nerve issues in my outer thighs, and I thought it was being caused by like the hip belt being too tight. So like I loosened it, like I didn't notice a difference. I ended up just cutting it off. My base weight was pretty light. It was around 13 pounds, and I was experimenting with like the hip belt totally loose and unclipped, and I didn't really notice a comfort difference, to be honest, so I just kind of ditched it. But I would probably carry it. There were times when I was coming out of town where it was like hurting my shoulders, and I was getting like muscle cramps up here, and I had to like kind of take the pack off for a minute. So I probably wouldn't do that again. But anyway, it's a learning experience. You might be wondering if like this bothered me. It did for maybe the first couple days, and then it didn't bother me on my back. So yeah, the pack, I've heard this complaint amongst other people. A lot of people think that this pack should have like wider shoulder straps, and I would agree with that. Yeah, I didn't find this the most comfortable. I would have to take it off my back occasionally. A lot of people say that, so Osprey, they say the weight range of this pack is 20 to 40 pounds. I do not think it's comfortable at that weight. It is, my pack, lightest, my base weight was 13. The heaviest it would be, well, there were some times in the beginning where I had a lot of stuff. My base weight was 21, so I think I experienced this pack up to like 35, I would say, maybe high 30s. It wasn't comfortable. I mean, it's doable, but it wasn't really comfortable. So I personally, if I were to use this pack again, I would say it's comfortable below 20 to 25. Really below 20. Maybe 25, but. Another thing that might mean I'm wrong here is, so I went and got fitted with this pack. They have different sizes, small, medium, large, for different torso lengths. I was kind of like in between torso lengths for small and medium. And I tried out both packs, like put loads in them, went out for a day hike, small and medium, and it was hard to make a decision. Like, they're very close, but after using this pack for so long, it's a medium. I think I should have went for the small, and that probably attributed to some of my comfort. So when I noticed that, basically when I was hiking with this pack right here, so torso length is like I forget what parts, but it's like somewhere up here to like down like here on your back. And so when I would hike, I would feel that would feel that my back was kind of too long for this pack. Like, I felt like if I hunched over a little bit, it would more kind of be in touch with the support, the curvature of this pack. And if I would hike normally, there would be like a little like gap here where my back would be. So the small would mean a smaller thing right there, and therefore I wouldn't have to elongate my back to feel comfortable. So I think the small would have been. So I thought it was interesting how I couldn't decide that ahead of time. I had to just use this pack and learn that. So I know what I'll be doing next time. My next pack that I get, it's going to be one of the Cottage Company ultralight ones. I was kind of nervous to go with one of those. I just felt I had a Osprey Atmos before hiking the AT, and I was, I felt comfortable with like a big brand, lifetime warranty. So I went with this here, and I was nervous about going for like Z packs or ULA, some of the other smaller ultralight Cottage companies. But after hiking with this, I got my base weight down to 13 pounds. I was at the point where if I wanted to, for me, the next step in reducing weight was replacing my big three, which is the pack, your sleeping bag, and your tent. So I could have saved like a pound or something each, or more than a pound going for a lighter pack. So next pack I'll do that. I am attracted to Z packs. I like the Cuban fiber, because then I didn't like how when it rained, like this would just absorb water, hold it in, and get heavy. I like that the Cuban fiber wouldn't do that. So there, a lot of people had those. Also, a lot of people had ULAs, so maybe one of those. So next step, that'll be for me. But it really is a good pack. It's, if you get the right sizing and you aren't too crazy with the weight and you use the hip belt like I did, it'll last a long time. It's a really well constructed pack. At one point, I actually tried to increase the padding. I cut the accordion style, like a sleeping pad by Thermarest, the Z-Lite Sole. I cut pieces out. So I cut a piece, half a strip for the shoulder strap, half for this, and duct taped it on. You can still see the duct tape residue. And then I put one of the sections around my hip belt here and taped it. And I used it like that for a few weeks or a month. But I ended up getting rid of it. I think it started to smell. And it didn't make a huge difference in comfort. So, yeah, even with the hip belt, it's comfortable probably below like 25 pounds. And that was, I think, a general consensus amongst other people with this. Some other things, I think this technically is a men's pack, but I saw women with it, so can probably work fine for that. Another wear I know. You see how there's duct tape there? So from using this, when I had the hip belt on, actually, hold on, let me see. How did that wear? Yeah, so there was. I cut it off actually. I can't see it, but there was some piece of material right here, and over time it would rub on this, and it started like coming apart a little bit, right? Like on the edge. They're very tiny, very tiny. This is after like 1,500 miles. So I just put a piece of tape there, and that's fine. But it is ultralight. This handle, you might think it's like this held. I could hold 40-pound loads with this. It's very durable handle, no issues there. It looks a little scary with that, but it was fine. I love the closure system of this. Just pull it. Worked out perfectly every time. Love the mesh pocket. That was very nice to hold a lot of stuff. Yeah, so size, 58 liter. I debated between the 58 and 48 liter. 58, there were times when I was like packed with food and it had like, 4 or 5 days of food, and I was pretty packed out on this. If I were to do it again, I would actually go with the 48. Now, if it's my first through hike, I probably wouldn't start with the 48 because when I started, I had a lot more stuff. I was still learning what I didn't need, and then I eventually shaved a lot of stuff out, so my pack volume was a lot smaller near the end. So starting out, I think 58 liter would be smart, just to have a little more comfort. And most people had the 58 and a little more room for food. But I could get by with the 48, and I prefer that actually, because sometimes it's had like a lot of extra space in it. Especially, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's all with this pack. So overall, it's a good pack. It could be a little more comfortable. I wouldn't use it with 40 pounds. I wouldn't use it with 35, 30. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. But if it's just when you come out of town resupplying, you can deal with it. I dealt with it. It's fine. It's, it might not feel as super light, as super comfortable as like a Atmos. But the Atmos is a great pack too. I use that. It's just designed for heavier loads, so it'll support that weight better. And plenty of people did the whole trail with an Atmos. You don't need to go ultralight or lightweight. You can do that. But some people, if you only have a 10-pound base weight and you never get above 25, like an Atmos might be a little overkill because they've got a lot of suspension and support there to keep it comfortable. So you might not really need that. So good pack. Could be, maybe some wider shoulder straps. There's actually a new, it's January 2018 now. There's a new Exos, pretty sure that just came out. So I haven't looked too much into it, but I bought this in January of 2017. So you might want to check that out, and maybe they changed some stuff there. So yeah, good pack. It was a great learning experience for me. So thank you, Osprey and AT.